Jacks along, Pappenhausen, and O'Carr. Pappenhausen's been left flat by Fuimayano. There is massive drama here. Pappenhausen hasn't moved.
High contact, direct, forceful, and it's after the pass. You're off.
Set off.
Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got the Kid MG in studio. We're going to dial in top row. Oh, it's been a hot week in rugby league land. Peter V'landys. Surprise, surprise, he set a cat amongst the pigeons on their marquee Magic Round week, and there's not very many happy campers on Twitter. The outrage is, it's a fever pitch. I've never seen anything like it. I know that the AFL fans down here, we cry about the umpires and the rules week to week, but I've not seen a meltdown like I did on Friday night with all these resulting accidental sin binnings. And it was fever pitch. The rugby league fans are calling for PVL's head on a stick.
Yeah, well, they're clearly not used to it. They should come down and spend a season in the AFL's fan shoes. Yeah,
rules on the run.
Well, we put up with it weekly. Yeah, they did go into meltdown a bit. I think it was a bit over the top. We'll hear from Top Rope later on his thoughts. But it was good for the punters that cotton onto the overs. It was just a highlight reel all day, all weekend, watching the tries go in. It was crazy.
Yeah, it looks like touch footy a little bit, and sure, concussions. It's big in every big sport, NFL, AFL. They have to clean it up, but yeah, there's just always going to be accidents, and we've already covered a lot of those accidents in the AFL world as well, and it's a lot of the AFL suspensions that are around what happens to the other player rather than the act itself. So it is it's an interesting area, and no doubt the woke police through the mainstream media will be all over it. But it is an important part of the game to get right, but I'm not sure they have. Well, let's talk AFL. I'll tell you what, the Ds. How about those Ds? You know what? I'm a believer. I know it's only Carlton, but they just look drilled. They look clinical, or as clinical as they've probably ever been. They've got lots of options going forward. I don't think Brent Brown's playing his best footy yet. They're a scary proposition, the Ds, or they're a contender.
Yeah, you were kicking yourself that you decided to go on the blue side last week. They've been.
Guess what? We get them wrong.
They've been a complete fill for you, and all of a sudden you jumped off them, and then you had to watch the D's just cover the line pretty easily in the end. They're too good for Carlton. They got the job done. Looked like they were in a gear in Melbourne when they had to step up. They got the job done. So 9-0, they'll probably just win this week, I think, again, and then be a great match to go and watch round 11 against the Bulldogs for sure.
And the Kangaroos dismantled my Hawks.
Yeah, you've really had an up and down week, haven't you?
I was through the ringer.
Had some highs and lows.
Had a lot of bets.
I was in the office with you and your dad, and I wish I had the swear jar out from halftime onwards. There was a few choice words, but yeah, it was a tough watch for you guys. I think you cracked your first beer when they were up 5 goals, did you not? And said, we'll put them away from here, and it just kind of went downhill from there. You were cheering home your races, and all of a sudden you looked up and the Hawks were behind on the scoreboard.
Dad only comes in when it's a winnable match, so he was filthy. He started to kick the chair, and I think the first couple of beers that he put down were express. But the Western Bulldogs Saturday night, they put the writing on the wall. It's not an easy challenge. Port they find a couple of furlongs on their home deck. They were very good, weren't they?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the matches of the season so far. Watching the replay, when you're not involved in the match, it was the highest level we've seen this year. I think both teams come to play. It was, as you said, Port's a very tough road trip with their crowd and everything like that, and they didn't play poorly at all, Port. It's just the Bulldogs pulled away near the end, but they were definitely in the game. I would say these two definitely in the top 4, top 6. Well, the Bulldogs look like they're tracking for top 2. Port will be around the top 4, 5th and 6th if they miss. But they should meet down the track. And, it was a very good game. The Bulldogs are up and about. They haven't got too many weaknesses. I know they lost Wood for 6 weeks. But, yeah, they're a very good side. It was a very good game. Look forward to the Bulldogs Melbourne in 2 weeks. It's going to be worth watching.
The Tigers, everything about the Tigers is just between the years at the moment, isn't it? They were depleted. They had bugger all stocks. The line was heavy against them. There was a massive push for GWS, and they just found a way to get it done. It's just about mental challenges and getting up at the moment, which is frightening for the Tigers.
Yeah, they've got a lot of previous years about them, don't they? That's why the bookies probably don't release them too much in the flag betting. It was a big swing game for them, probably down the track where they finished at the end of the year.
Both sides.
This one you'll look back and say, this game was important to win. They had no right to win it, really. The Giants had them covered, and there was one or two around Dusty, but Dusty stood up and carried him over the line, bringing individual performance, just getting the job done. And I think they're a bit of value going into this week against Brisbane. I know they've got to go up to the Gabba. It'll be interesting. They'll see it as a real challenge. They've had a little tough stretch here, their last 4 games, Richmond. So whether it's taken too much out of them, or Brisbane are just going better. But again, another test for Richmond. We'll see how they go.
Punters probably got the upper hand slightly. Let's have a look at the bookies wrap. We've got some graphics on the screen now. Round 9, it was 7-9 the favourites, 78%. The bookies would be hating Geelong. They were just so errant. St Kilda, 5 goals, 17, just absolutely disgraceful. That it's hard to believe that can happen. The line 4 and 9 at 44% there. The total over 5 and 9 at 56% there. And you can see some of the season stats there. 58, 81. The favourites there at 72%. The line's been 40 and 81, which is surprising. 49% there, and the total over 42 and 81. So the market's sort of getting it pretty close there. So it's
I think I think it looked like a punter's week on paper again. It was a bit like the week before. I know we've had back-to-back 7 out of 9 favourites win, but the line's just kind of checking. That I don't think it's been all punters. I know the multi-punters just head-to-head are probably getting it, but I'm not sure about the line and the margins as well. And in play, there's been a lot of changes. The Hawthorn game would have been a good feel for them. There's a lot of swings, and the Richmond came from a fair way back as well. So the live punters may not be faring too well with the bookies the way the swings are going as well. So I think the bookies are hanging in there, but they'll like a dominant week coming up in the next month or so.
There was a big opportunity in the Melbourne-Carlton game where Carlton came out of the blocks okay, and then Mackay got hurt, and I think they bet around $1.80 for a couple of minutes, and then Melbourne steadied with a goal, and then bang, they were straight back into $1.50 or $1.40. So there are still massive opportunities in play, so make sure you check out topsport.com.au and bet in play. And gosh, it's still just the mind boggles. 2021, and we still have to call up and place those bets. The hits and misses for this week. Let's have a look at where the market moved. The Geelong line was 14.5 to 19.5. Saints were awful. That was just the one that got away from them. Their kicking was just unforgivable. They didn't deserve to win it, I thought, based on how poor they're kicking. It's a fundamental of the game. Sydney line was 17 to 25.5, a hit after a slow start. Wow, the Hawks 13.5 to 20.5. Don't want to keep talking about that, but good on the Kangas. They need a little bit of a hope down there. GWS 19.5 to 12.5. It was a massive go. It was a big hit there. The Essendon line minus 1.5 to 7.5. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. They did their best to try and cough that one up. Essendon in an absolutely atrocious game. You were there.
Yeah, disaster.
Why did you go?
Had to go, family reasons. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices in life, Nick. Unfortunately, it wasn't in Premier seating either, just out in the public, which was interesting to watch. And we'll talk about that a bit later in the Sting, where maybe a few of these high-up AFL officials should go sit in the crowd and get some honest feedback from how they're seeing the umpires and the way they're ruling them. But the Essendon Freo game was, coming off watching the Saturday night games with Port and Bulldogs and then having to watch Essendon Fremantle. I've seen some better under-14 games, to be honest. They were atrocious. They move the ball slow. Their skills are deplorable. And low-scoring game to boot. Lucky it was close. Otherwise, Essendon fans would have been asking for their money back as well.
It was a bit like the Geelong game. It was slow ball movement. I thought the Cats regressed poorly. As soon as the Cats don't take the game on, they look bad.
Yes.
Really bad.
Yep.
Carlton line there was 23.5 to 7.5. That's a miss. And then the West Coast line was 38.5 to 41.5. A little bit disappointing there also. But sting in the tail. It's music to my ears at the moment, because all of a sudden the focus is on the umpiring. We've been speaking about it for the last sort of month, but the mainstream media are finally going after the umpiring. And we defend the umpires themselves because they can only call the rules as sort of they see them, but the AFL are just making it impossible for the umpires, and they've lost touch of the game, and they can't understand, and they've got no feel for the game because they just have to over-officiate it all the time by all these intricate rules.
Yeah, it's it's definitely not the umpires' fault. They play a part in it for sure because they've got to make the quick decisions on the field. But the AFL set them up to fail, no doubt. I think they just make it too hard. We've discussed this a few times this year. And as I said, sitting out in watching the Essendon Fremantle game, I know it was a frustrating game to watch, but the supporters just they can't work out what's going on either, whether it's for your team or not. And the amount of non-decisions, it's real frustration in the crowd, and I think it takes away from what the fans go and want to watch. They want to watch, the high marking, the good kicking, the skills on display, and the umpires should play their role in it. And I just think the AFL make it too hard. And, I don't think it's a good look for the game. And you see what happens in 1 week in the NRL when they do something what the AFL do on a weekly basis, the uproar. I think we've just come used to it, and the fans walk away from it. And it's not that Essendon just got the win. It's more, how was this not decision paid and stuff like that. And even the Fremantle lob mark, whether it was a mark or not, there's a lot paid throughout the year and week to week that would have been a mark, whether it kicks it or not.
I couldn't believe it.
And again, it's another decision that can cost teams maybe going to the finals. And Fremantle are on the cusp, and they might look back as one that got away. Again, maybe through an umpiring decision, whether he kicks it or not's a side issue. But I just think they overcomplicate the game still too much, and they're not helping the umpires, and they get a bad rap from it. So I would say the umpires, maybe it's time for them to stand up to the AFL. Yeah.
Well, at least the mainstream media are putting pressure because the fans don't really have a voice. And from my internal sources at a couple of different clubs, it seems like Steve Hocking doesn't take much feedback on it all. Well, he's hated by a lot of people within AFL football.
Well, yesterday there was a quote that I think it was on one of your shows. Might have even been First Crack that they said that the umpiring. They said, well, you keep to watch it all the time. That they reported, I think it was Tom Brown might have said that the AFL said the umpiring's been excellent this year. Now, for them to come out and say that is it's not factual, it's incorrect, and I don't know where they get that information. Why would they make that statement where we can sit through, the AFL can pick any game and we'll sit through and try and score the umpires above 5 out of 10. It just doesn't happen. So to mark them as excellent just shows that they've got their head in the sand, they haven't got a grasp on what's going on. And if the fans make the game, then why don't they go out and listen to the fans? So the feedback would not be positive.
It's definitely not in a better place, the game at the moment. And, sadly, there's only probably 2 or 3 really watchable games and contests that are any good, in my opinion. And the new rules that they've tinkered with, they've added more rules, more confusion, and it's still not working. We're going to preview more of round 10 this week. We've got Top Rope Tedeschi, we've got the Hall of Fame there, and round 11. And I tell you what, lock of the week, all of a sudden the bookies have been hammered, and the good things are starting to hit the line. We're powered by puntingform.com.au. Make sure you find your edge there. They've got the best online form guide and database in horse racing circles, so make sure you check out puntingform.com.au. Up next, we're going to talk AFL Round 10. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot, and I've got MG here, and it's time to talk Round 10 AFL action. Cracker Friday night. There's no footy on Thursday night, thank God, because we've got the Lone Wolves too. Paddy McKenna and Troy. They're going to try and blast their way up to $1 million. Tristan's open the shoulders. You can double your deposit. So make sure you check out Lone Wolves 2 on the littlebirdie.pod.com website. It will be fantastic stuff on Thursday night. But Friday night, you should be watching Brisbane versus Richmond. Tantalising clash, this one at the Gabba. The opening price is, the current price, $1.40 Brisbane Lions. Richmond, $3, and the line 16.5. 4v8 on ladder. Tell you what, Brisbane have had a tough draw, and looking at who they've played in who's in the 8 now, the top 8 sides, Richmond have had a pretty tough run as well. So they don't want to be switching off here up at the Gabba early, the Tigers.
No, it'd be great. It'd be a good game to watch. Hopefully it's not too slippery and we get a good contest. As you said, 4th v 8th on the ladder. And Brisbane are part of had a full month at home as well, which I think's been important. Obviously, COVID driven there; they didn't have to travel to Perth in between, so they're put in 5 straight matches now. They're in good form. They've got no excuses. Their injury list is pretty good, other than Berry and Neal. and their average winning margin over those 5 have been 44 points. So I know they've played 4 ordinary sides in that, but that's pretty solid winning margin. And their offense has been unbelievable. The last 5 matches averaging over 100 points. So it'll be a big test for Richmond this week going up there for sure, coming off the back of a pretty tough game against the Giants. Richmond will hold no fears going up to the Gabba though. They've actually won 7 of the last 8 up there. And they did lose the last contest, which was a final. But, they've got some good form up there. I just think at the moment, even though they got over the Giants, it just showed that unless Martin shows up and plays, Richmond are in trouble with the amount of injuries they've got in the midfield. I think with Brisbane's midfield with Lyons and McCluggage going really well at the moment, I just see Brisbane being a touch too good. But saying that, I think the line seems big, plus 17.5. It surprised me that it's that big.
Get some 18.5 out there. I see top sport at 16.5. But
yeah, and it seems to be going Brisbane's way early in the week as well, which I couldn't get it anywhere near that high.
Yeah.
I'm in more the 10-point to 12-point range. So
a couple of goals.
Yeah, it's hard to come into Richmond just with the amount of injuries they've got. And, they've only really got to shut down one man, in my opinion. And I think Fagan will be smart enough to put the clampers on Martin as much as he can. He's got a few options there. It's not a betting match for me, but if I was having a bet, and a lot of people will be kicking off, I think I'd shade Richmond, especially in the 1 to 39. It seems a good value.
The Western Bulldogs, St Kilda at the Dome. Both occupy that stadium as a home ground, so interesting there. $1.28 the Dogs, $3.70 the Saints, and the line there is 22.5. All conquering the Western Bulldogs. It's hard for me to come into St Kilda the way their goal kicking is. They're hunting the ball well. Their midfield seems to be doing the job, but up forward, they're just disgraceful.
Yeah, they won't get my money in the immediate time. St Kilda, they're getting enough of the ball. You're right, but geez, they're goal kicking, and it's not just 1 week either. I think they kick 15.
But they're sitters.
Lines a week before. Yeah, really. Well, they're just down in confidence, and I don't think they're going to turn that around quickly. I was surprised that the line opened up around the 3-goal mark. We did send this bet out early yesterday. We couldn't hold up, and I think this line will push past 25 come game time. It can only go one way, in my opinion. I know the injury of Wood might test them down back a little, but their midfield's just dominant at the moment. The lock of Zach Jones and then Marshall for St Kilda. Just don't think they've got the depth to cover it. Bulldogs are up and going, and they'll have a real good hit out this week, I think, to prepare for Melbourne the week after. So I think this is one-way traffic, and I'd be even looking at the bigger margins here, 40+. And if they're in the mood, the Bulldogs, even the 60+ might be worth a couple of dollars. Nice
little flair. I did like the highlight package of Waitman. Couple of nice little goals there. He looks good in the congestion. Perfect for the Western Bulldogs forward line. Little firecracker.
Yeah, they don't have too many deficiencies at the moment, the Bulldogs. Look like they're both going to get English back and Hunter this week as well. So another option up forward.
Tough side to break into.
Hunter into the midfield. The way Libba, Bont, McRae and all that are going, I just think they've got too much for St Kilda. And I'd be surprised if this line starts less than 25. And the bookies won't be able to hold it back.
You've talked me into them, and Fremantle versus Sydney is fascinating on Saturday night. Also over in Perth, the Dockers 185, the Swans 195, and the Lions 1.5. A couple of yo-yo teams here, really, really treacherous, and the market probably says that it's flip of the coin almost.
Yeah, it is. Probably not a game I'm going to get too involved in. It'll be an interesting contest for sure, and big game for Sydney more than Fremantle. I think Fremantle's probably seasons maybe tinkering in terms of playing finals, whereas Sydney have got a nice little soft patch coming up in the next 4 or 5 weeks, and they'll be looking to cement their place in the finals come at the end of the year. I couldn't back Fremantle on what I saw live against Essendon last week. I know going back at home, they're a completely different side, and I grant that. And I'd be surprised if they still don't hold slight favouritism going into the game. I think Sydney are the value, not a betting match for me, but I just think Sydney are the better team going at the moment. And we can wait for Saturday night. There is weather forecast around, so don't expect too many points. If you like either side, probably the 1 to 39 is probably the safe bet as well.
Okay, the GWS Giants play West Coast, and this market's already move significantly for West Coast off the back of Toby Green news there, not playing. 173 the Eagles, $2.10 the Giants, and the line is now 4.5. That's Sunday at 1 o'clock up at Giant Stadium.
Yeah, even pre Toby Green, the bookies got this wrong. I think they put their hand up pretty quick that I just think they assumed because the Giants were at home, two good sides, that maybe Giants should have started favourite. When you dig deeper, in the ratings that I come up with, I was actually pretty strong on West Coast. The only negative for West Coast for me is their away record, but they are 2-2 at the venue, West Coast, so they
don't mind it.
They don't despise it, and this is a game again they've got to be up for potential top four. They're in a soft part of their draw as well, West Coast, so this is a big game for them. And it'll be interesting to see how the Giants also react, not just on the back of losing Toby Green, which is huge with their forward line, but just letting that one get away last week with Richmond. It'd be interesting to see whether that hurts them going down the track. Big test for West Coast, but this should be one-way traffic again. I really like West Coast here, and we sent this out yesterday as well. Luckily, pre-Toby Green news, but I think it'll start stronger than 4.5 now. So I'd continue betting West Coast in your multis, or if you dislike them, I'm a strong player on West Coast this week.
It's a mouthguard in job, especially if you backed West Coast against Geelong and they got absolutely thumped. I still haven't quite forgiven them, so mouthguard in and brace yourself for West Coast. But again, the market's already telling the story there. There's good money for the West Coast Eagles. If you want to get more remarks, thoughts, make sure you head to Little Birdie Shop, check out AFL Stings, and you can get his week-to-week thoughts. He gets full in-depth previews on all matches, so make sure you check that out. Now we're going to talk futures. This segment's called Buy, Hold, and Sell, where we look at a little bit of an update on the Premiership, Brownlow, and Coleman medal market. The Premiership, Mark's been all over the Western Bulldogs and Lions from day dot. We'll have a look at the market here, and bookies have been very, very cautious with this market. It's a bit of a raffle, and the odds indicate that. But the D's $5 favourite, they still haven't wound out Richmond for that $5.50 quote. The Cats are $5.50, the Tigers are $5.50, the Bulldogs $5.50, Port Adelaide $7, Brisbane Lions $8, West Coast $12, Swans $31, 34, GWS and St Kilda are $81. Wow, it's stagnant. I don't even know why we keep talking about the Premiership market, because it just doesn't move.
There's a lot of interest, though. If you like your side, there's it's a bit unusual. We've got pretty much a 4-way equal favourite after 9 rounds. We haven't had that too often in recent history in the AFL. I think the Premiership market's got a lot of action this year. I know you think not much is changing, but if you can take the a few Melbourne supporters want to know that why Melbourne seem to be still decent odds at $5 when they're at 9.
Big home ground advantage at the MCG.
Yeah, 100%. The problem Melbourne's got is to go from not playing finals to go win a flag. That isn't done too often. But they're 9-0 start. They'll be 10-0 going into the Bulldogs. If they beat the Bulldogs round 11, watch a clear favourite eventuate there. I'm happy to sit on the Bulldogs. I still think if I was having bet fresh, and I mean, if you like any of those 7 sides, I don't think too much is going to change over the next little bit. But I just think I like the way Brisbane and West Coast are both going at the moment. They're stringing the wins together, especially if Brisbane do get over Richmond this week. They should shorten a little bit. I just think the 2 outsiders of those 7 would be the ones I'd be leaning at this stage.
Yeah, the Tigers, I've sort of written them off at this stage. So $5.50 represents no value for the Tigers at this stage. Let's have a look at the Brownlow medal market with topsport.com.au. The Bond, another one of our pre-season selections, $4.70 he is now. Petrarca was another one that Mark tipped up at $19, so he's all over this one. $5 now Petrarca. Dustin Martin, $5.80. After a cracking match on the weekend. Hugh McCluggage, $10. Sam Walsh, he's getting a lot of press at the moment, $14. Ollie Wines, $15. I know someone who spec'd him at $91. That looks a good bet now. Travis Boak, $15. Clayton Oliver, $17. Nat Fife, $17. Cam Guthrie's having an absolute belter of a year, $19. Maxi Gawn, $19. Tim Kelly, $23. And $31 or better the rest. Thoughts here, MG? Any meat on the bone there?
Yeah, it was a big week in the Brownlow this week. There was a lot of potential 3 voters for the big end with the Bont and Martin, maybe even Oliver and Cam Guthrie as well. So there's a lot of action in round 9 for the Brownlow. I know we've invested early in the 2 leaders at the moment at some bigger prices than what they are. And I did mention last week that Clayton Oliver at the $19 I thought was just getting under the guard of the bookies. He
17, still backing at $17.
I'm definitely backing him this week. Yeah, 100%. I think with Melbourne winning all games so far, and Gaun's just dropped off a touch. I know Salem's now into the mix a little, but Oliver's stats. If the media and the bookies and even the punters want to wrap up Sam Walsh, put up his figures in a losing side against what Oliver's doing in a winning side for Melbourne, and tell me which one you want to back, and you're getting the overlay $14 as opposed to $17. I'm real keen to back Oliver this week. I think this market is a little wrong. I think Cam Guthrie also at $19 seems good value. His piling history is only light, and Dangerfield hasn't come back. But Cam Guthrie's playing
He's
playing real well. Yeah, I think there's a few in the market. I still think even though Martin got 3 on the weekend, I still think he's only had 3 best on grounds. He's on 9, so he's still given ground. I think he's slightly unders, but understand he's a gun. But I think there's some good lays this week as well. Be really, I think Martin around the 580s too short in relative to Bont and Petrarca, and I'd be laying Sam Walsh for sure at $14. The other 2 I'd be laying is Boak at $15 and Fife at $17.
They're just not going to, especially Fremantle aren't going to win enough games.
Well, I just think if the way I'm doing it at the moment, and I don't know where I sit amongst other leaderboards, but if you lay Oliver and Cam Guthrie's year out, and then you put them up against Walsh, Boak, and Fife, they should be half their quote.
Yep.
If I was having a bet this week, I'd be, and you like them, definitely I'd be, say, double unit Oliver to Cam Guthrie, and I'd have maybe a 4 unit by 2 unit play on both of those, especially if you got the top 2 going.
Sitting pretty.
Yeah, I think you can start really building a book at some good prices here and get a good run for your money.
Outstanding stuff. Let's have a look at the Coleman medal, and the pointy end of the market looks very, very suspect here. Harry Mackay, he's $2.10. Poor old Hazen, he's a sore and sorry man. Taylor Walker, he's got the blows out to $5.50. Jack Darling, $7.50. Wow, he can do some magical things on the footy field, can't he? Jack Revolt, $9.50. Josh J. Kennedy, $11. Matt Taberner, $13. Tom Hawkins, $13. Tom Lynch, $13. Jeremy Cameron, $15. And Joshy Bruce, $15. Hooksy at Cale Hooker, $17. He's got to stop passing them off. And Charlie Dixon, $19. Got to be laying. This is a bookie stream, isn't it? Just lay Harry Mackay and Taylor Walker and hope for the split.
No small forwards in this lineup at all this year. Remember last year, I think we had
Charlie Cameron was
4 out of the top 5
Yeah.
at a similar stage to last year, but there's not one small forward in the betting at the moment. Harry Mackay would have sent a scare for you if you'd laid him the last couple of weeks. I think you sent me a text that he's off with the shoulder. You didn't tell me that he came back on.
No, he looked, he was sore the whole game.
Yeah, well, and then, the Carlton coach, Teague, honest Teague, will start calling him that, he said Cripps didn't have an injury for the year, and all of a sudden now he says Harry Mackay's been carrying this injury all year. Well, this is the first time I've seen it because he certainly hasn't been carrying it the way he carried it on this game. He obviously did hurt it and played through it. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays this week, of how sore he might be. But I tell you what, $2.10, it's a very good lay. There's some big boys will be coming, and your man Tex, he's just had the week off, so he's had 0-0 in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I'd just be laying Harry Mackay strongly, still laying Tex at $5.50, and anyone you like behind them, happy to back.
I think we ticked up Jeremy Cameron at 21. He's still into 15, so he may be the bolter there. Make sure if you're having a bet this week, it's topsport.com.au. They're the biggest betting bookie. They've been in the game for 35 years. The Millhand team up at the Gold Coast, they do a fantastic job. And please remember to gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858 if you've got a problem with that. Now, the next segment will be an absolute beauty. We're going to put Top Rope Tedeschi under the griller after his man PVL has all but ruined the game of rugby league. The lynch mob on Twitter are out to get him, and the game's fabric has just been torn apart. We'll talk top rope Tedeschi, and we'll talk NRL with him and the Hall of Fame next. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG, and it's time to talk rugby league with our man Top Rope Tedeschi, who's had a minor surgery, so we can't see his beautiful little face, but he's back up and about. And how you feeling, Top Rope?
Oh, look, it's been a nice quiet week in rugby league, so just a nice relaxing weekend. Not much to talk about. I'm surprised I was back on the show this week.
Mate, it sounds like a little bit of PVL rules on the run. Magic round. Bris Vegas became Sin City or Sin Bin City.
There was some outrage. I'm not really sure why, but there was no new rules introduced, just an enforcement of the rules that have been there for 100 years, Scooty. So it was to talk about, you see a fair bit of Twitter outrage, but this was next level. Some people going off the deep end. It really highlighted that there are a lot of fools in the world, and most of them reside on Twitter.
I've never seen outrage like it. Every second tweet from every NRL person that I've followed over my sort of betting career for the last 12 years was just up in arms about these new rules. And I had a look at a fair few of these big hits and the resulting sin bins. I thought there was probably 3 that were legitimate, and then there were a lot of accidents. I thought the Tapina hit on Pappenhausen was warranted. Herman Essay, warranted. Kateo, I think they were the only 3 big ones, and the rest of them were accidents and well over the top. And I think it is true. I think the fabric of the game is getting ripped apart. So Top Rope, come on.
Scooty, if you accidentally kill someone, but you've been a bit reckless in doing it, you still caught manslaughter, right? Well, guess what? The sin bin is manslaughter. You weren't sent off. You've got the sin bin. You've got the degree. There's a degree of culpability. Intent is not everything. And look, let's start with the negative. There were some ridiculous sin bins on the weekend. There were some utterly obscene ones. I can't help but feel that the incompetent officials were just trolling PVL and the NRL with some of those sin bins. But for the most part, accident or not, if you hit someone in the head, it's beholden on the game to take action to stop people hitting each other in the head. There's no punching in rugby league anymore because the NRL cracked down on it. There's no shoulder charge in rugby league because the NRL cracked down on it. If you want to stop high tackles, you've got to crack down on it. And this was an excellent starting point. It was wonderful to see the send-off back. There has not been 3 send-offs in a round since 1996. Why tackles kept slipping up, why more foul play continues, why there have been more concussions, more injuries, is because referees have been too gutless to actually send a player from the field. I don't think there's any question that any of the 3 players who were sent off deserved to be sent off. Now, the 2 negatives were some of the sin bins were ridiculous, and that needs to get wiped out. So I think they will look to adjust that over the coming weeks. And the going back and playing advantage for an entire set and then going back for a penalty a minute ago, I think needs to kind of get taken out of the game as well. They need to figure a way of just putting someone in the sin bin without going back for a penalty on that one. So I think that a few of those little kinks will get ironed out. But for the most part, I honestly can't see why this wasn't a major positive. The only reason I can think is that all your old Twitter mates who you follow on rugby league, Scooty, they're probably like I used to be, an old-fashioned plus punter. Well, it's time to get off the plus wagon. If you're on the minus wagon, this is these new rules are excellent for the game.
And the total over is humming, and it's crazy. If you take out the multiplier, some of these scores look like touch footy scores. You know, you're looking at like 6-3, 7-1. The overs are just roaring in, and I don't know what the direction from the coaches are going to be. If you can't tackle that high, they're going to go low, and then it's going to be more offloads and more open play. And we're already saying that the game is faster, more fatigue. It's just going to be a points bonanza.
Yeah, it's good. There's going to be a lot of points, and any punters out there probably want to keep rolling them to the overs. But I think what's going to happen here is they will go lower. But there's not going to be too many legs tackles. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a bit more catch and hold, if you know what I mean. They're going to try and catch them around the ball and just try and hold them up a little bit rather than kind of lead with the shoulder and try and put a lot of force into it. So they'll figure ways around it. But everyone goes, rugby league's dead because there's no shoulder charge. Who notices anymore? Like rugby league, If there's two absolute certainties in rugby league, it's that every weekend, quote unquote, rugby league is dead, end quote, and that when a crackdown comes along, that the crackdown won't last any longer than a couple of weeks. So, look, what I hope to see out of this is that the kind of returns a little bit to normalcy, but with high shots being sent off, any hits to the head where there is forceful contact resulting in a sin bin, and everybody else just using common sense.
The AFL fans are well accustomed to rules on the run, and we spoke about it earlier in the show. There's so many rules in the AFL at the moment that the umpires are absolutely bamboozled and they're getting the simple things wrong. So let's hope this one gets cleared up. But question for you, Top Rope, you're a busy man. How can PVL be running Racing New South Wales and NRL at the same time? Two massive jobs.
It's like asking how did God create the world in 7 days? It's just like some men are giants and can do so much. PBL's got it all under control. He's not only running two sports, he's running both sports with an iron fist, and he's dominating with each of them. Are they running the Caulfield Cup this year, or is it just Everest taken?
And I think he's going to fight his unsuccessful defamation case against the ABC. So it's been an absolutely monumental week for PVL, but no doubt about it, he's come back out and swinging, and be interesting to see what happens. Will they tidy the high tackles up? Surely we just can't keep running into these accidental sin bins. It is outrageous, but Top Rope. Something else that's outrageous is our Hall of Fame, and that's where we induct someone each week for doing something miraculous on the punt. Last week we had Saint PVL from the YouTube stream, not Peter himself, but one of the punters in the Bulldozer stream had $500 on a $16 shot at Pinjarra of all places, got the cash for raise.org. We had the Warrnambool side, Ali. We've had Barosha, a former Hall of Fame winner in the Hall of Fame. He now won on Sunday in Hong Kong under the name of Beauty Fit. So all the Barosha fans would be still collecting on that horse. Now he's in Hong Kong. But this week's a tricky one for Hall of Fame. It was a turbulent week on the punt. I tell you what, it was happy days in NRL and AFL land, but the racing on Saturday, it was Black Saturday for a lot of punters. There was just results everywhere. Mark and I were just shaking our head. Mark Zara's on fire at the moment. And my nomination for, I've got two for the Hall of Fame. Tommy Turbo's one of them. He's the king of the overs. Anytime there's a Manly game, Turbo's playing, it just goes over. And the other one...
Six covers, six overs.
Unbelievable. And they just haven't woken up. And the other one is DK. He might already be in there. He should be a Hall of Famer. He could be in there every week probably. But digging us out on Sunday with Jai McNeil on Lord Wonder, just an absolute pain-free watch that. I think I had about 10 or 12 multis into this horse, and it was easy watching. He got me out in a big way. What about you, MG? Who you got this week?
I'm going with PVL. I know we entered his little cousin in last week, and Top Rope's probably not going to like it, but seriously, PVL, the surprise rule change. For mine, it was a surprise rule change. Bookies don't react, and the overs were just a complete fill. Top Rope just said overs. We watched all games, and it was just... it was unbelievable. They kept sending men off, and just we could have scored tries out there on the weekend. It was crazy. And I see this week, Top Rope. Just a quick question. I know you're not going to take my nomination seriously because you will never allow PVL in the Hall of Fame. But I see the bookies for this week. They're creeping up on the totals, but I don't think they're fully adjusted yet. With a lot of totals around the 44 to 47, is it just going to be a complete fill on the overs again this week?
Yeah, I'll be backing overs, I think, nearly every game. And if I don't like it, well, I certainly won't be backing the unders in any game. Let's put it that way. I agree. I think when there are kind of monumental kind of step changes, well, you just don't react quickly enough or well enough in this. Like we've seen it with minuses this year, right? Like they haven't got close to getting the lines right. And, my best bet of the week this week is well, we'll get to a bit later on, but the minus isn't even close to where it would be. I priced it up a good 12 points higher than it should be. There's 12 points that it is, sorry. So, I agree. I just don't know how we look over PVL. Of course, it's going to go to Mr. Little Birdie himself, Scoot to sign off on, but I'm all for PVL for a multitude of reasons. for his Hall of Fame, let alone this very specific gambling reason, which has been wonderful. Scooey, can we get him over the line?
I think he should go straight to chairman. He's running everything else. He may as well run our Hall of Fame.
Oh, they may tear headquarters down here, but all right. I'm going to bow to public pressure. I'm going to turn over, like every other media outlet in New South Wales. Peter V'landys is now into the Little Birdie Hall of Fame. I feel sick. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to go have a break. If you want to hear more of Top Rope stuff, if you want to have his GGOA, make sure you head to the Little Birdie shop. I can't believe what I've just done. Peter V'landys into the Little Birdie Hall of Fame. Disgusting. We'll take a break and we'll talk all of round 11 next. Welcome back to Little Birdie Podcast. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got MG here and Top Rope Tedeschi. Hell has frozen over. Yes, Peter V'landys is in the Little Birdie Hall of Fame. The overs are an absolute gift at the moment. It's a massive, massive edge. And let's have a look at NRL round 11. Thursday night footy is back. I tell you what, it'll be playing second fiddle to the Lone Wolf stream, I can tell you that. But it's not a blockbuster game, but we've got North Queensland Cowboys, $1.56, Newcastle, $2.45. The line, 4.5. Top Rope, who do you like here?
What a rotten game to start the week. You'll have to bet on this one just to keep it interesting. Look, I have a lean towards the Knights. This is just a back the underdog in this game. It's the Cowboys are no good as a favourite, covered as 4 or 13 when favoured by 4 or more. The Knights are covered as 4 or 13 in a stake. But there is one bet I do like in this game. Very keen on the over. Some big over angles here. Over 10 or 13 when the Cowboys are off conceding 18 plus. 9 and 4 when they're favoured by 4 or more. 10 and 5 when they're at Queensland Country Bank. The new rules, both pretty ill-disciplined teams. I will be on the over. Playing 45.5, not enough.
Up at Townsville there. Definitely need to have a bet in that one to make that interesting. Let's have a look at the Friday night fixture at Gosford. The poor old Warriors playing a lot. When are they going to be able to play back at home?
They're scheduled July to go back home. So
their basketball team just returned this week as well. I think to New Zealand.
Breakers back.
400 days or 450 days.
Geez, they're a bet up jobby when they're first up there, aren't they?
Yeah, they're getting.
I'll tell you what.
Crowd as well, yeah.
They're a bet up job when they're at Gosford. I don't know if they want to go back. They've covered 10 or 13 at Gosford all the time, so I don't know why you want to leave. Just stick with. Warriors are a great bet in this one. Minus 5.5. Yeah, don't worry about the families. They're locked away. They're winning at Gosford. They've covered 18 of 24 for double-digit loss to Warriors. Tigers, awful off a big win. Covered just 3 of 11 off a double-digit win. Minus 5.5. The New Zealand Warrior, as it's got on the screen, the New Zealand Warrior, minus 5.5.
$1.52 there. West Tigers, $2.52. Yeah, Top Rope Tedeschi is super, super keen on that one. And it's a really tricky round, I reckon, the NRL. And our next game, we'll skim across the Storm and the Roosters game. They look a little bit too obvious, but the big one is at Dubbo, at Apex Oval, South Sydney Rabbitohs and Penrith Panthers. I was in shock when I saw the market here. $1.30 Penrith, $3.50 the Bunnies, and the line's been 8.5 to 10.5. I thought the 8.5 was value, Top Rope.
Yeah, I think the double-digit starts a fair bit on South. Penrith have been unbelievable this year. They're very hard to bet against, but they've covered just 6 their last 15 when favoured by more than their converted try on the road. South, 14-8 against the spread when they've covered, when they're getting more than a converted try. I think it's going to be pretty close. These ones tend to play pretty close games. Latrell Mitchell back this week, so probably a better balanced side. I think that South are going to will push Penrith this one, 10.5. That's a bet.
Come 2 o'clock Sunday, I'll be looking for angles to launch or to dig myself out as I had to last week. But yeah, 10.5 looks absolutely juicy with the big fella back, Latrell. And match of the round is on Sunday at 4 o'clock at Bankwest Stadium. What a corker this is. Parramatta Eels, $1.44. The Sea Eagles, $2.80. And the line, 7.5. Big Tommy Turbo, he's up and about. Mark absolutely loves him. So do I. What's going to happen here?
Yeah. These two teams hate each other, which is great because most people hate these two teams. Eels have had the wood on Manly lately. They've won 9 of the last 12. I just think I'm kind of with you on the Tommy Turbo there, Scoot. They've turned around since he's come back. Manly have covered 12 of 16 on scoring 30 plus. So they seem to hold form off a big win. Covered 6 on the trot. I kind of think the Eels up for a bit of a fuss, but I reckon they've been overplayed all year. So they've covered just 3 of 12 off conceding 16 or more points to the Eels. So I'm going to have a little dip at Manly in this one. Not a lot of numerical evidence for it, but I'm pretty keen that Manly will run Para pretty close this one.
MG?
Overs. Man,
He's just so... I think he's going to just stop AFL and just keep chipping in.
well, I had more bets on the NRL last
On the
week than the
totals.
AFL, yeah.
You love a
There's
total.
a tear coming to my eye hearing that. A tear comes to the eye.
I'm moving up to nurse Top Road back to health just so I can get a bit of news. I think you just got to take Manly 45.5. You just got to keep backing the over until they go under.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not just covering the overs; they're smashing them. They're scoring it by themselves. I know they won't.
Well,
score
they're a great
45.
combination of being able to score some points and not being able to tackle. So that's a pretty fair combo for the overs.
Be a hard watch, the unders.
It is. It's a cracking week of rugby league, and all eyes are on the sin bin. We've named the episode Sin Bin, so it'll be interesting to see how PVL and all the puppets there at the NRL respond, and the referees. Are they just trying to sink the great man? We'll never know. Yeah. Now it's time for Lock of the Week, and I tell you what, we've created history here on Little Birdie Podcast. All three of us have jagged a bet for the first time in our short history of Lock of the Week. And what we do is we try and raise money for raise.org.au. They provide mentors for kids in their youth and teenage years and get them on the right track. So did a good job in the Bulldozer. Got 10,725 deposited on Sunday. We tweeted out the receipt, so it's all correct weight there. But Top Sport give us $200 each week, and we're trying to blast into the 5K realm to top up that $10,000 donation. So all three lob last week. Top Rope got up the Raiders, Rabbits, Roosters, Storm at 233. He's got 466. I landed the Cats, luckily. Brisbane, West Coast Storm at 237. So now I've got 1,197. And then MG landed the Lions, the D's, and West Coast. So wow, for the sports bookmakers last week, it was an absolute nightmare with favourites just absolutely everywhere. Let's go to you first, MG. How are you going to spend? You're the ladder leader. $1,922. How are you going to spend it this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go just play. Well, not safe. You got to get the victories. But I'm going to have another treble this week. Geelong, Melbourne, and the Bulldogs. It comes to 159 on the current Top Sports multiplier. 1,900 to collect 3,200. So I'll be if I can get up this week, I'm one hit away.
Okay, so you got Geelong to beat the Suns, D's to beat the Crows,
and the Bulldogs 128. Yeah,
Bulldogs to beat the Saints.
Yeah, I just think the better sides are starting to show themselves, and I just think it'll be picking up money. Hopefully, without mouthing it, and we'll get to one crack away. Hopefully next week.
What about you, Top Rope? Got a couple of tricky ones in the NRL. Treacherous, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm going with a little treble. I'm going the Roosters minus 18.5.
Oh, flare.
To cover the line against the Broncos. And just throwing in for the little, as MJ put it so succinctly, the little multiplier, Melbourne Storm to win. And I'm going to go with the Cronulla Sharks to win. They've been off the map this week. St George have had 5 players suspended, 4 players suspended and 1 player done for 10 weeks with a shoulder injury. So this is the pre-season wooden spoon favourites down to about half a side. So I reckon they're going to get fairly pumped this week by the Sharks. So 334, I think we'll get ourselves within distance for this week.
Okay, so yeah, Top Rope's got the Roosters minus 18.5 against the Broncos. The Storm heads up, and then Cronulla heads up. I'm going to play it really safe. What a surprise. I'm going to take the Roosters to beat the Broncos. I like the Cats down at the Cattery at the $1.08 against the Suns, and then Port Adelaide, they will roll Collingwood, and that's for my $1.60. So that'll get me just under $2,000 for my $11.97. So Cats, Port, and the Chooks for me. So a little that cross code edge that I've got. I'm just going to keep hammering that little bit of bank interest there. But fantastic stuff, Top Rope. We've got a monster week this week. We've got the PGA Championship of Golf. We'll get Top Rope's tips there. He can't be on the show. He's got to get back into surgery. He's got to be detached from PVL. He's probably hiding in his bunker there. He could be in his basement.
His Top Rope's equivalent.
I would. If I was going to be Fritzl by anyone, it would be PVL.
Last time we dropped the F word, we got in a lot of trouble. But luckily, we're not on commercial radio. Thanks very much, Top Rope. Sensational work, and let's just pray the overs keep hitting. And I can't believe you got PVL into the Hall of Fame. I feel absolutely sick. Thanks, mate.
What a day. What a day, fellas.
Well, that's all we've got time for. Great show, Marcos. I think it's going to be fantastic stuff this week on the AFL. There's so much to bet on. We've got Bris Vegas, we've got Bet Doctor, we've got the PGA Championship of Golf, we've got Lone Wolves too. Make sure you're in that. Last time the boys took the bank from 133k up to $500,000. These two are the best dog punters in Australia. They're right up there, actually. They'd be if they're not both in the top 5, I don't know who would be. So the results are there for everyone to be seen, so make sure you buy into that. It'll shut the bank at 5:30 on Thursday. It's going to be great.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We've got the golf show tomorrow, so tune in for that. We'll give you the rundown, hopefully find the winner there, and looking forward to the Thursday night live stream. Wasn't around for the first one, but I think I'm serving the drinks for Thursday night, so hopefully it's champagne at the end.
Yeah, Mark's the security guard in the YouTube chat, so keep it clean in there. Follow us, like us on Little Birdie TV on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Apple. We're everywhere where you can get your podcast. So make sure you check us out. Support Punting Form and Top Sport, and we'll see you next week.